Welcome back to the Wheatfield. Listen, at the first hint of fall, you're gonna find me with a fire on, my decor up, sweatshirt. Hello. So I'm just gonna roll with it. I hope you enjoy. Also, my whole upstairs where I usually record has got a carpet issue, so I have nowhere else to record. Might as well make it cozy. Also, I apologize if you can hear like the legit plowing going on behind me. The neighbors are building a pool behind us and they're plowing through all the rocks. So I just figured this is like the perfect soundtrack for what I'm still gonna teach on. Listen, last week we talked about the plowing season, the no fun, blood, sweat, tears, crappy character building or team building, as KB, my co-visionary for the Wheatfield Vision, calls them, team building times. They're not fun. No one's saying that they're fun. I'm certainly not. But we did learn that they are truly a part of getting you to your abundance. They're just a part of life. I also wanted to tell you, I heard from quite a few people that, I'm gonna scoot back a little bit so I don't keep coming out of frame, from quite a few people that are in a plowing season right now. So if that is you, please know you are not alone. There is a community here that is dealing with the same type of things that you are. Life is not easy for them right now, and it's okay. So you have a community here that can meet you where you are and understands that plowing is not a great and awesome, but definitely a useful season. So before we move on from plowing, I had a couple things I came across this week that I wanted to teach on instead of moving on to sowing of the seeds. So let's review. Last week, plowing taught us that we have an opportunity to grow some stellar, incredible faith roots in plowing seasons. That is so incredibly important. But I came across a verse that blew me away, and I kind of teased it up this week when I made a post. I've never read this verse before, and when I was doing more research on the plowing season, I came across this, and I really hope you're ready. I hope your listening ears are on, because you better put them on for this one. This is Hosea 10:12. You ready for this verse? I was not ready for it. Break up your unplowed ground, for it is time to seek the Lord. Are you kidding me? That's like clear as day. You, in times of plowing, you have to seek the Lord. That's why he does these seasons. This is how this happens. The second part of that verse, break up your unplowed ground, for it is time to seek the Lord until he comes and showers his righteousness on you. Say what? Plowing causes us to seek the Lord. Causes us to do the most life-giving thing that we could possibly do. Seek the Lord until he comes and showers his righteousness, gives you the abundance. Seek the Lord. If you are in a plowing season, plow and seek. Keep plowing, keep seeking. So I wanted to use that verse to kind of set the tone as we keep talking about plowing, because that is clear as day to me. Break up your unplowed ground and seek the Lord. What a verse. So keeping that verse in mind as we jump back into something that I came across on the agricultural site that I referenced last week, this is what it says. One problem that farmers face is weeds in their field. Weeds compete with the planted crop for water and essential nutrients. Weeds typically grow fast and can crowd out the desired crop, right? So one advantage to plowing, according to this big site, is that it can mechanically break up weed roots and disrupt weeds from growing. So think about this for a second. Not only does the plowing season get ready for us to have solid roots when the good seeds get grown, when we get to sowing, but it also, plowing breaks up the bad roots, the roots of the life-stealing weeds. You know the weeds I'm talking about, right? The weeds of doubt. I'm just gonna name all the weeds that are in my life. Weeds of doubt, weeds of comparison, weeds of fear of failure, the weeds of anxiety, the weeds of not enough, the weeds of worrying about the future, the weeds of you fill in the blank. Okay, I want us to hop back over to this site and read one more thing that got my attention that I found absolutely fascinating about wheat. And I wanted to bring it up really quickly. All right, you ready? This is pretty rich here. Get ready. Harvested crops, did not know this before I started researching, by the way. Harvested crops are graded by the amount of foreign material that is in them. A bushel of wheat will be worth more if it has fewer weed seeds in it. So having fewer weeds can lead to an increased profit for the farmer, according to that website. All right, so let's hop back into the study knowing that. If you have abundance and it's got weeds all up in there, your abundance is actually not considered as profitable and as valuable. It's just not as valuable with weed seeds in it. Plowing allows us the space to get rid of all the unnecessary things that are profit robbing for our future abundance. Think about that. They're profit robbing, peace robbing, joy robbing things in our life. Essentially, plowing can in advance get rid of all these weeds that are growing underground that you cannot see until it's harvest time. Can get rid of all the unnecessary things that can make our future harvest, all the things you worked so hard for, prayed about, less valuable. How sad is it to do all this work and your abundance come, but your attitude is still ungrateful, or your abundance come and you're still so filled with worry that you can't enjoy it, or your abundance comes, but that weed of comparison that causes you to forget the abundance in your life because you're too busy looking at the farmer's field next to yours, which for the record, I teach on that down the road, an entire lesson on looking at the farmer's field next to you. All of those are weeds. Plowing helps us get rid of the weeds so that we can focus on what really matters. Last week I shared about a friend that went through a plowing season that, like I said, would have done most people in, and now she's got these faith roots that are just invaluable. This week I want to share about a friend that also went through a plowing season just last year. She's a woman in my wheat field, and I'm going to convince her to come on here with me when I start my interviews. This friend went through such a plowing season last year. I was with her at the hospital when her husband got a horrible diagnosis. It kind of came out of nowhere. I drove down there. When the doctors came in with the diagnosis, it was one of those, like, by horrible, I mean it was a, hey, I know you thought you were perfectly healthy as of yesterday, but now you have like very aggressive cancer. There's nothing we can do. And I know you have a wife and 4 kids, but like, we hope we can like extend your life by 3 months kind of diagnosis. And I remember sitting with her at the hospital, and I'm not even sure if she'll remember this, but I brought her breakfast over, and she said, I just think back to everything I was worried about last week. Such a waste of time. So pointless. Talk about plowing. This is what it made me think about, thinking about her in that conversation. Plowing, getting rid of weeds, getting rid of pointless, abundance-stealing weeds. Plowing redirects us to our priorities. Oh, and side note, her husband had like a miraculous healing, and as of right now is clinically cancer-free, and there's probably a lesson in there for another day, but thank you, Jesus. It's been quite the journey with her this past year. Listen, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that plowing is fun, but when you look at all that plowing brings us, room for future healthy, life-giving roots to grow, the ability to remove any life-robbing weeds that we can't see, the ability to set up our priorities, and most importantly, the ability to seek the Lord. Surely we can now see why plowing is such an important part of growing in abundance. Not fun, but so necessary. All right, I have gone over longer than I said I would be teaching, but I hope to see you back next week. We're gonna move on from plowing and start talking about sowing those seeds. So get ready and don't miss the wheat, even if you're in a plowing season. It's there.